Alright, what's going on everybody? This is Shaheen, uploading a quick video basically going over how I identify chop in the markets and how I can stay away from making bad decisions. If you traded today, so you can see the volume right here, and zoom up right here, you can check it out that we just completely chopped. Not surprisingly, it was on POC, and also not surprisingly, it was on a FOMC date. So these are all things you need to take in account when you're trying to identify chop. First off, if we're going to be seeing a lot of price action on POC, this major liquidity level, market makers generally have a lot of incentive to keep the price at this level and sell as much premium as they can, both on the call side and the put side, uh, to make their money as we continue to chop and see a lot of volatility on this POC level. We've seen this happen all the time. One thing that is very characteristic of days like this, let's zoom into a 1-minute chart and let's zoom into the day. So like I said, one thing that is very characteristic of a day like this is you're going to notice that both sides early on in the day, I'd say within the first 30 minutes to an hour, both sides to the upside and the downside are going to look amazing. Okay, so first of all, let's zoom in here. In the first couple of minutes we rip, and we rip fairly big for where we are. We're fairly range bound going into today. After a nice push higher, chop all pre-market, and then a nice push to start off the day above POC. Looks fairly bullish when you zoom in. You can understand how most retail traders, the first minute of open, the first couple minutes of open, they see this massive push, and you can generally assume a lot of people are getting caught up to this upside, getting into calls, and then getting wrecked right after. And you can see how they make the puts, the downside, look great too. We have POC below, an easy target. A lot of shorts coming in here trying to break this low of day. So they're getting in short here, trying to target POC. Call side gets ripped again. Puts lose a ton of value. Then completely the opposite direction, we dump. It looks super weak. Major dump in just 3 minutes all the way to low day, right into POC. Maybe you got some eyes thinking, okay, we're going to break down this POC level. This was a major rejection. And then, the pattern continues. Chop, chop, chop. Looks like we're going lower right here, but just push back above. Massive rip higher. Call side looks great. Then a massive dump back to POC. And then a massive rip. Looks like we're going to rip past high of day and get to, touch the bounds of this range we're in. And then the story repeats and we dump all the way back to POC. So this sort of price action is very, like I said, very characteristic of a chop fest sort of day. And seeing this pretty early on, seeing this type of price action this first 30 minutes today, first 15 minutes, a chop day was definitely on my mind. And, I avoided trades until we started breaking out of this range we've been in on ES. And that actually kept me out of trouble. Let me only take, 0 trades today. I didn't take any trades today. The only trade, I did technically take was I actually locked up some Roku calls that I held overnight. And I locked them immediately. I didn't even catch this push. There was a slight push on Roku, I believe, but I just locked right it open for a nice small gain. I had some calls overnight because I hit them at the end of the day yesterday on that nice rip we had higher. But like I said a couple seconds ago, one other thing that is majorly characteristic of a chop fest sort of day is we are range bound. You zoom out on ES right here. Let's check out this 30-minute chart. You can see the range we've been in for the past week and a half. And more specifically, this is a range we've been in. Ignoring this counting this as some, breakdowns of these levels we have. All of these levels that I have, this 30-minute level is at 3,800 exactly. This 15-minute level above, these are all levels I actually found way before all of this price action right here. So it's really great seeing when price does get into this range that it acts as a true range. So you can zoom in right here. We have a 15-minute level and a 30-minute level. And this range has played out perfectly this week. It's kept a lot of us out of trouble. Right here we flagged nicely until we finally broke down that 30-minute level, and then we make a nice push lower. This was all pre-market, so we couldn't have hit this. But again, we hold under and we push lower again. Then we finally crack above, we start holding above, and we can make a nice move higher. But once again, going into today, we are completely range bound. And not only that, but we are stuck on POC. We are range bound in between this 15-minute level above and this 30-minute level above, and this 30-minute level below. And not only that, they're fairly far away. So it's going to take, first off, a decent push to get us to this level. And then not only that, but it's going to take some extra momentum to push us out of this level and, break the 21 MA and get higher. And same thing to the downside. If we're opening right here on the day, basically right at POC, if we start losing POC, we have a fairly long way to go to the downside to get to this 3,800 below. And then if we're using this as a breakout level, we're kind of asking for a lot to get a nice breakdown under this. So, all these things I'm noticing pre-market that we're opening, ES is opening in the middle of this pretty big range it's been in. And a move higher is going to need to be fairly large to get a nice breakout and to catch a nice move on any sort of options like SPY, SPX, or if you're using ES to trade another name like Tesla, for example. And same thing for the downside. It's going to take a big move to the downside to actually get us there. And so I was extremely patient, not getting caught up in what looks like big moves on these 1-minute charts. I understand where we are in these bigger time frames. I zoom out and see, we are completely range bound. This was the pre-market action, completely range bound, and we have levels above and below. I'm not going to get caught up in any sort of massive push until we actually start cracking my levels.